Way if you are still trading on a prop firm account that has an activation fee. The year is 2026. The number of reputable and stable prop firms that are based in the US, have good pricing, have good payout rules has never been higher. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down to you the top 3 prop firms that have all those things that I just mentioned, and of course that don't have any activation fees. So without wasting any time, let's get right into this. So 3 firms I'll be talking about in this video are Lucid Trading, My Fund and Futures, and Take Profit Trader. In my opinion, whether you are brand new to futures or you have a lot of experience under your belt, these 3 firms will treat you very nicely and save you money on top of that. So starting off with the most beginner friendly as well as the cheapest option out of all 3 of these, I'll be talking about Lucid. So Lucid is a relatively new prop firm. However, they've already paid out over $60 million in payouts to their traders. Over 50,000 traders have used Lucid. Their average payout time is 15 minutes. And of course, they have a nice little Trustpilot rating. So they currently have 3 different account options: the Pro, the Flex, and the Direct. In my opinion, the Pro and the Direct accounts are not worth using. The Direct accounts are their straight to funded option. In my opinion, straight to funded accounts, no matter what prop firm you're using, is never worth it. They are just very expensive and their payout rules are generally pretty unattractive. So in my opinion, from a cost to benefit standpoint, don't go with the Direct accounts. Same thing with the Lucid Pros. They are more expensive than the Flexes, and they also have a daily loss limit, which I'm not a huge fan of. Also, on the funded phase, there is a consistency rule. So in my opinion, those 2 things, the daily loss limit and the consistency on the funded phase, those are a big no-no in my book. So I would avoid those 2 account types at all costs. However, the Flex accounts are my personal favorite. So usually the 50K Flex accounts are $130 by default. However, right now, if you use code PK at the checkout, you'll be getting 50% off your accounts. So that means you're paying only $65 total. And once again, there is no activation fee on this. So you're paying $65 all in for a 50K funded account. Like I already mentioned before, this is going to be the cheapest option possible out of these 3 prop firms that I'll be talking about in this list. From what I've seen, at least, there are no other firms, no other options where you can get a funded 50K account for that price point. So if you want some cheap accounts that have very good rules, which I'll get to in a second, go with the Lucid Flexes in my opinion. Also, another good thing to note about the price for these Lucid Flex accounts, it is a one-time payment. So you'll see here, it's not a monthly charge for Lucid, which means that especially if you are a beginner, you can take your time with the eval. It is not going to charge you month over month if you can't pass it. So that's an added plus as well. The reset fee is $85 for the 50K accounts. However, just because they are running such an aggressive discount right now, in most cases, instead of resetting an old account, it is most likely going to be cheaper for you if you buy a brand new eval with code PK. So keep that in mind. Moving on from that, the profit target and the max loss limit are pretty standard at $3,000 for the profit target and $2K for the max loss limit. The drawdown type is end of day. There's no daily loss limit. There is a 50% consistency rule on the evaluation. So that means that you need to trade for a minimum of 2 days before you can pass the account. The maximum position size on a 50K funded is 4 minis or 40 micros. However, keep in mind there is a scaling plan, which means that right off the rip on a brand new funded account, you are limited to using 2 minis or 20 micros until you make $1,000 in profit. Then it will scale up to 3 minis or 30 micros and then 4 minis or 40 micros once you make over 3,000 profit. In order to get a payout, you need at least 5 days minimum where you make at least $150 in profit per trading day. The maximum payout on these 50K Flex accounts is $2,000. So that is a $2,000 potentially every 5 trading days that you get at least $150 in profit. In my opinion, from a value proposition standpoint, these are by far the best accounts out right now. In my opinion, a consistency rule on the funded account is one of the worst rules that you can possibly have. Same thing with a daily loss limit. So all those things combined on this one account for $65, in my opinion, it's very hard to beat it from a value proposition standpoint. So I'm a big fan of the Lucid Flexes right now. Also, you are able to have up to 5 funded accounts at once with Lucid. So potentially, if you get the maximum payout in the 5 trading days that you need, you're able to get a $10,000 payout every 5 trading days. Here's some more details on the Lucid Flex account payout structure. So first of all, the profit split is 90-10. So 90% to the trader and 10% to Lucid. And keep in mind, there are 2 requirements that you need to meet in order to qualify for a payout. Once again, to recap, there is no consistency or a daily loss limit on the funded phase. You need 5 individual trading days where you made at least $150 per trading day if you were on the 50K. Of course, if you are on a different account size, the minimum profit per day is listed right here. Moving on, your minimum payout is $500 no matter what account size you're on. Also, the max payout is traders may request 50% of their account balance up to a maximum dollar amount. So in the case of a 50K account, 50% of profit up to $2,000. So that means you can take a $2,000 payout once you've made $4,000 on the account, right? Because 50% of 4K is that maximum payout amount of 2K. There is no buffer requirement on Lucid Flexes. You don't have to have a certain dollar amount sitting in your account in order to take a payout. So say, for example, you are on a brand new Lucid Flex account. Day 1, there's no consistency rule. So say day 1, you make $5,000 in profit. And then the last 4 days, you just make 150, 150, 150, 150 to meet that requirement number one of the minimum profit per day. That means that after the 5th trading day, you are able to take that full payout amount of $2,000 on each account. And that's that. So it's very simple, very straightforward, literally just 2 requirements, no buffer amount required to stay in the account, and no consistency, no daily loss limit, none of that mumbo jumbo to deal with. So that is all pretty straightforward there. So if you're looking for a new firm to try out, definitely check out Lucid in my opinion. And as always, make sure you use code PK at the checkout so you can get the best discount applied automatically when you're buying them, and do not spend more money than you have to. Moving on to my personal favorite on this list is Take Profit Trader. If you've watched any of my videos or the live trading streams, you'll know how much I like using them and how much I glaze them, but I promise you it is for a good reason. I'll break it down to you right here. First of all, for the pricing, we'll see here that a 50K account costs $170 per month. First thing to note here is that all these prices are wrong, because for every single Take Profit Trader account, use code PK at the checkout, you'll get 40% off and no activation fee. There's usually a $130 activation fee for every single one of these accounts. However, with the code, it turns into a $0 activation fee. So instead of $170 a month, you're only paying $102 per month for a 50K account. And that is only for the evaluation phase. And once you pass the eval and you get onto a funded account, you never have to pay any money for that account ever again. I personally only use the 150K accounts, and for these, once again, it's not $360 a month. It is $216 after the code and no activation fee. The reason why I use the 150Ks only is because you get more drawdown. Also, you can size much heavier at 15 contracts for a maximum position. But the biggest thing is because the cost to reset an eval account is $100 no matter which account size you get. So say you get a 25K account, right? You pay, I believe it's like $90 with the code. You pay $90 for a 25K account, and then say you lose the eval, right? You have to reset it because you blew the account. You're paying $100 to reset the account. Same exact thing for a 150K account. Even though it will cost you $216 initially, if you blow the account and you have to reset it, once again, you are paying $100 for the reset. So no matter if you are using a 25K, 50K, 100K, or 150K, you're paying the same exact price to reset the eval. Of course, you're paying a little bit more upfront. However, the resets are all the same exact price. So in reality, you're only paying like $100 more for a 150K account. I'm a fan of that personally. So if you have at least like 3-4 months of experience, I would say go with the 150Ks. However, even for myself personally, I use the 50Ks for a long time. However, right now I only use the 150s. For the sake of this video though, because I already talked about the 50K accounts for Lucid, I'll talk about the 50Ks for TPT. Once again, the cost is $102 per month for the evaluation phase. The profit target and max drawdown are the same at $3,000 and $2,000. Your maximum position size is going to be a bit higher at 6 minis or 60 micros. You do need a total of 5 trading days to pass the evaluation. That is a few more days to pass the eval compared to most firms. However, there is a give and take in every single scenario. So even though it does take a couple more days to pass the eval, the best part about TPT is that you are able to get a payout on the very first day of your funded account. As you can see here, so the pro accounts are the sim funded accounts, meaning just a regular funded account. Don't worry about the pro plus accounts because that is a live funded account. Most people don't have to worry about that. We'll talk about that in a different video. So just know that a pro account means regular funded. And once again, the withdrawals, meaning the payouts, you were able to get it from the very first day on the funded account. So you were looking at a total of 5 trading days for the eval and then 1 trading day on the funded, and you were able to take a payout. Compare that to 2 trading days on Lucid and 5 trading days for the funded on a Lucid Flex account. So a total of 7 days to get a payout on Lucid. Just keep that in mind, right? A lot of people get hung up on the 5 days for the eval part and think that's annoying, but they always skip over the fact that you need fewer days in total to get a payout. So just keep that in mind. Also, a quick note for the eval phase on the TPT accounts. How I usually like to approach it is I make half of the profit target on day 1. So say I'm on a 50K account and my profit target is 3,000. I would make half of that. So $1,500 on day 1, the other half day 2. So 1,500. And the last 3 trading days, I just enter and exit a position with 1 MNQ contract. So just a quick hack. You don't have to be in a position for X number of minutes or X number of points or whatever. They don't care about that. Literally just take a trade, any trade, and that will count as a trading day. And do that 3 days in a row and you are done and you get moved to a funded account. Next up for TPT, the profit split is going to be 80-20. So 80% to you and 20% to TPT. The maximum number of funded accounts is 5 that you can have at any time. However, the evals, you are able to have as many as you want. Because it takes 5 days to pass the evals, I always have at least 5 to 10 evals in the background, just always on standby and just working on them constantly so that I don't have any periods where, say I have 5 funded accounts, say worst case scenario, I blow them all in one day. I don't have to wait 5 trading days to have the next set of accounts ready to trade on the funded phase. Once you pass them also, you never have to pay that monthly fee again. So once you pass your eval, you can have it like sitting in reserve, which is what I do. And like I said, once you blow a funded account or even all 5 of them, you will have the next set of accounts ready for you, and you will be able to activate them once the current set of fundeds are gone. Next up, for the maximum payout amount, they do not have a max payout. So they do not limit you whatsoever for that on TBT when it comes to payouts. And also keep in mind, you're able to take a payout every single day on the funded phase. There are no minimum number of trading days that you need to have in order to take a payout. You don't need 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever. It is not like that. You can take a payout every single day and they do not cap it out. So in my opinion, that is by far the best selling point for TBT. That is why they're my favorite personally, and you see me using them the most out of any other firm. So keep that in mind, especially if you have a little more experience trading prop firms and trading futures in general. In my opinion, TBT is going to be the best firm by far when it comes to maxing out your potential earnings. And combining that with having 5 funded accounts at once, like in my opinion, if you know what you're doing, it's like having an ATM machine in your pocket. So keep that in mind. If you want to take your payouts to the next level, in my opinion, check out TBT. Moving on, for the buffer requirement, there is a buffer requirement in the funded phase. So basically the easiest way to calculate that is to go to your evaluation page right here. Basically look at what your total drawdown amount is. That is how much buffer you need on the funded phase before you can take a payout. So if you are on a 50K funded, you need at least $52,000 in your balance in order to take a payout. Then everything above that 52K amount is eligible to withdraw from. So for example, say that it is day 1 on your funded account and you make $5,000 in a single trading day. From that, you would subtract your buffer amount, which is that $52,000. You're left with $3,000. And if you were to withdraw the entire amount after 1 trading day, you'll be able to get 80% of that total profit amount above the buffer, which means after 1 trading day on the funded phase, you can take a payout of $2,400 hitting your bank account. Next up, there is no daily loss limit, whether you are on an eval or a funded account. So that's great. The drawdown type is end of day, like I already mentioned for the evals. However, for the funded phase, it is intraday until you make that buffer amount. And as soon as you have that buffer account made and your realized balance is above the buffer amount, so on a 50K account, once your balance hits $52,000 or more realized, meaning that you don't have any positions open, that intraday trailing drawdown goes away and it changes to what is called static drawdown. So once that buffer is made, all you have to worry about is just keeping your balance above 50K or the starting initial balance, and you're good. You never have to worry about that trailing drawdown ever again. Next up is the consistency rule. We already touched on this. Yes, it is 50% for the evals. However, there is none on the funded phase. News rule, you can trade whatever news you want in the evaluation. However, for the funded, you cannot be in a position from 1 minute before until 1 minute after for 3 news events: CPI, NFP, and FOMC, which is at 2 p.m. Eastern on FOMC days. If you're like myself and you primarily trade Asia session, so like 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, or New York Open from 9:30 to like 11, 12 Eastern, you don't have to worry about this news rule for TBT because all those news events are either an hour before New York session opens or at 2 p.m., which is long after I'm done trading. So if you're like myself, you don't have to worry about that. However, if you like to trade those news events, you do need to keep an eye out for this. Scaling plan, there is none for the eval or the funded, so you don't have to worry about making a certain amount of money before you can use more contracts. With TBT, you can use the maximum position size right off the rip. And that pretty much wraps up TBT. Now, last but not least, we have My Funded Futures here. So they also have several account types. They have the Rapid Plan, which is the daily payout option. There's the Flex Plan, which is more so like the beginner-friendly option. Then there's the Pro Plan. So first things first with the Rapid Plan. So this is kind of like their Take Profit Trader copy account. Basically, you can have daily payouts, same exact structure as the TBT that I just mentioned. However, you can pass these accounts in 2 days. So instead of waiting and trading for 5 days on TBT, you can go with a rapid account on MFF and you can pass it in 2 days. And same thing for how the intraday trailing drawdown goes away once you make the buffer amount on a rapid account. So obviously that is a big pro for the MFF account. However, it is going to be about $20-25 more expensive. They are usually $157 by default. However, if you use code PK, you will be paying $125 for the 50K daily payout accounts. Also, another plus is that it is a 90-10 profit split compared to the 80-20 split that is on Take Profit Trader. But like I mentioned earlier in this video, every single firm, there will be pros and cons. Not every single account will be the right size fits all for everybody. You know, pricing, rules, payout structure. There's going to be some that are better, some that are worse in some aspects. So keep all these things in mind, but hopefully this can help you make a better informed decision. Moving on to the Flex Plan, like I mentioned, this is like their beginner-friendly entry-level account. So they just released the 25K option, which with code PK at the checkout, you are only paying $49 instead of the usual $84. There is also a 50K option as well, which is $107. They are not being discounted at the moment, which is unfortunate. So if you are debating going with the Flex Plan on MFF, I would suggest that you just go with the Lucid Flex accounts that we talked about in this video. Right now, when I'm making this video, the Lucid accounts are quite a bit cheaper and you get a nice discount on them. So I would suggest that you just go with those. Now, in my opinion, the best account that My Funded Futures has is the Pro account. So the Pro Plan, there is a 50K, 100K, and 150K option. As you can see here, the 50K Pro plan option, there is a 1 day to pass add-on. So that means you can pass these accounts in one single trading day, and it's a free add-on to do that. So it doesn't make it any more expensive. Also, it doesn't show it right here. However, these accounts are 20% off with code PK right now. So instead of $227, you're paying $181, and these are 1 day to pass accounts. So in my opinion, these are the best offering that MFF has at the moment. In my opinion, if you're looking at the Rapids, I would say just go with TBT. If you're looking at the MFF Flex accounts, in my opinion, I would just go with the Lucid Flex accounts. You would be saving a few bucks if you're going with the 25K option, but paying $16 more and go with a Lucid Flex account for $65. In my opinion, I think that's a better option. However, if you do have a little more experience, I would suggest going with the Pro plan. So like I already mentioned, you can pass these in a single day. They are 20% off. It is all end of day drawdown. There's no trailing drawdown to worry about whatsoever. And there's no daily loss limit and no consistency rule. So in my opinion, all the best rules, and you can pass these in a day. In my opinion, if you have a little bit more experience with trading, I would go with the Pro accounts on MFF. So these are all the rules for the Pro accounts. So for the 50K Pro account, your profit target on the eval is 3K. Max drawdown is 2K, so very standard there. End of day drawdown for both the evaluation and the funded phase. There is no daily loss limit. Your maximum position size is 3 minis or 30 micros. And it says there is a consistency rule. However, once again, with that free add-on, you are able to bypass that, so you can pass it in a day. However, keep in mind, you do need to make a bit more money to pass it if you do that 1 day pass add-on. So you need to make $4,000 instead of $3,000. Now that is the evaluation phase. Now moving on to the funded rules, max drawdown, standard $2,000. End of day drawdown, of course, there's no daily loss limit. Your maximum position size goes up to 5 contracts. Also, there is no scaling rule on the funded phase, so right off the rip on a brand new funded account, you were able to use up to 5 contracts. And once again, there is no consistency rule on the funded phase either, so you don't have to worry about that in the evaluation or the funded stage. Now for the payout rules for the Pro accounts, it is an 80-20 split for the Pro accounts, so same as TBT. Your minimum payout is $1,000 and your maximum payout is $100,000 per account. And for MFF as well, you are able to have up to 5 funded accounts at once. And for the days to payout, you are able to take a payout every 14 calendar days. So this is not trading days. They mark it as 14 calendar days. For the news trading rule on My Funded Futures is basically the same as the one for TBT. So similar to TBT, no positions or orders, including limit orders, can be opened 2 minutes before and after the release of Tier 1 data news. But like I mentioned for TBT, if you are someone like myself who does not trade in the pre-market or does not trade during FOMC on FOMC days, you don't have to worry about this whatsoever. So you are allowed to trade all news if you are on an evaluation. However, if you're on a funded account, unless you are on the 25K or 50K flex plan, you are not allowed to trade it. So in the case that you are on a Rapid account or a Pro account that I just mentioned, you are not allowed to trade it if you are on a funded account during these Tier 1 news releases. So keep that in mind if you are looking to trade these news events. But that pretty much wraps up this video. In my opinion, for most people right now, Lucid is going to be the best bang for your buck because they are running such a fat discount right now. Especially if you are newer, I'll go with the 50K flexes as I mentioned in this video. However, if you have a little bit more experience, I would check out the Take Profit Trader accounts as well as the My Funded Futures Pro account specifically. From a price standpoint, as well as the value that you are getting for these accounts, in my opinion, these are some of the best in the entire industry. I personally use these accounts and these firms for a good reason. All 3 of these firms are headquartered in the US and have a very solid track record, or else I would not use them myself, let alone recommend them to other people. And once again, these firms are always running some type of discount or some type of promotion, so make sure that you use code PK at the checkout and you'll get the best deal possible no matter when you buy the accounts. As always, thank you so much for watching the video. Hopefully this helped clear up some things and make your decision-making process a little bit easier. Thanks again. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.